The fig tree withered.
Yay. And this is Mark, and starting in verse 12. And we had just gotten we just went to sleep after a long day of getting the colt and going through the streets with Jesus. And he went into the temple to have a peek, and now he went back to Bethany for the night.
Right.
Yeah.
Now the next day, when they had come out from Bethany, he was hungry.
That's fair.
Fair. And seeing from afar a fig tree having leaves, he went to see if perhaps he could find something on it. When he came to it, he found nothing but leaves, for it was not season for figs. In response, Jesus said to it, "Let no one eat fruit from you ever again." And his disciples heard it.
It's so
Bad fig
interesting.
tree for not being in season.
It is interesting, that's for sure, isn't it?
I think it's an out of character response to put the next part in perspective.
Out of character response, but the next part in perspective.
Who
Okay,
knows? This is just
I hear you.
a theory, right? I don't know. Why else would you
Is it like a physical parable?
something, right?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I mean, even from the first time I had read this, I was a little
Right, yes.
confused.
I hear you. I understand. Yes.
Very apostle-y myself.
Oh, you had questions,
Right,
as Peter would.
exactly. Jesus cleanses the temple. So they came to Jerusalem. Then Jesus went into the temple and began to drive out those who bought and sold in the temple, and overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold doves for sacrifices.
Yes, to exchange them for when the people traveled, and then they'd give the money so they'd have the dove, because otherwise they'd have to get a dove and bring it with them all the way.
Right.
Which so and that was yes.
And he would not allow anyone to carry wares through the temple, like weapons.
Probably wares. That's no, I think he means wares as in hardware, like goods. Wares, that's where hardware comes from, and you know, I
Okay.
think I think wares means I think that's what it's what you're carrying, not well, in the sense it could be done, I guess, but it's let's see what it is. Hmm. Articles offered for sale. Traders in the street market displays their wares, so their products. So in this sense, because they already said about so their business, whatever they're selling, like in a craft fair. I mean, it's not a craft fair, but
So
they have
just
it
don't
all.
sell in the temple.
Don't sell in the temple, and I
No
think
selling in the
it's
temple.
right. And they could have been charging wrong prices, but it's
I
not the
don't
right
know. I
place
mean,
either.
listen, they're cutting corners
Yeah.
and they're already being a little bit bending the rules.
Hmm.
Um,
And if anyone knows, Jesus is going to know that you're bending the rules.
right.
And yeah, you're not, there's a time and place too, right? And the temple is probably not the place, from what I understand.
Not the place for that.
And now it definitely is not, because he's going to tell them.
Then he taught, saying
Mm,
to them, "It is not written, 'My house shall be called a house of prayer for all nations,' but you have made it a den of thieves."
yeah, so they must have,
Charlatans.
yeah, they must have been, if he called them a den of thieves, he's pretty much calling them a robbers, right?
Right.
So,
Which you are, right? They drove them out. You're for praying on the week.
right, yeah, exactly. So you're not being honest in pricing or whatever, as well as
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the scribes and chief priests heard it and sought how they might destroy him, for they feared him, because all the people were astonished at his teachings. When evening had come, he went out of the city. So now
Mm,
people are afraid of him. They said his ideas are a little bit too different.
too different, yeah.
We got people, we got the hens are a clucking.
Right. People are really believing him. We gotta stop this. And maybe they didn't even know what he was speaking, but they were jealous, maybe as well.
They
Right.
were
And if they're the people,
living in sin,
they were living in sin,
right? I don't know. It's hard to know.
yeah. Right, right.
They had an
Or
established religion as all time.
right. They could be getting payback for the people that were selling the stuff too, right?
That's true to look at it from where we are, but to them, it was like, hey, we got to pay our rent.
Right. Yeah. It's so hard
Well,
to
like the Pharisees and Sadducees had allowed it thus far.
right, exactly.
Maybe if not sanctioned it,
But they turning
and may have been taking like backhand room deals,
mm-hmm.
maybe even charging them rent.
Mm-hmm, probably. You can go into the temple even though they knew they weren't supposed to be in the temple.
Right. So if you're a Sadducee that's taking profit from people selling to people who are desperate,
Yes,
are you not then profiting by the same means?
I know.
And are you not then teaching false doctrine?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Oh boy. Now, here's a question. Do you think it relates back to the fig tree somehow?
I don't know, but we're about to find out, aren't we?
Oh, okay, yes, because there's more. Yes.
The lesson of the withered fig tree.
All right. All right.
Now, in the morning, as they passed by, they saw the fig tree dried up from the roots. Oh, this is a fig tree from yesterday.
Yep.
Now, Peter, remembering, said
Mm,
to him, "Ooh, look at Peter.
look, Peter,
Peter
go.
remembered. He
Huh,
remembered something."
yay.
Said to him, "Rabbi, look, the fig tree which you cursed has withered away." So Jesus answered and said to him, "Have faith in God, Peter.
Have faith in God.
For
Wow.
assuredly I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be removed and be cast into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that those things he says will be done, he will have whatever he says. Therefore I say to you, whatever things you ask when you pray, believe that you receive them and you will have them." So it's just because he said it, it is so kind of thing.
Right. So he said it.
Proving
He
the
believed it,
validity of
right? He said it. So I'm sorry,
and like his word,
his word.
like to prove the validity of it.
Right. So in this, right. He said to
Like
the fig tree, be withered, right? No, well, he said, let no one
you ain't
eat
gonna
fruit.
nobody's gonna eat fruit from you no more.
Right.
And then the next day it's all withered, and he said, "Whatever
Mhm.
you ask, believe." Right? And he's
Believe what you ask. Exactly.
that's what
And
Jesus said.
yes. And that's, I think you have that kind of faith, and I hope I have that kind of faith. Sometimes I waver,
You have that faith, mother.
but I have that faith because I know that, yes, you're right. And sometimes we might struggle in like, we can believe for a whole mountain, like a huge thing, and then we forget about the little things. We can believe for that too.
Well, it's like you hear you hear any good story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, the main character has to like a test of faith where like something's probably went wrong and things aren't looking too good and you just gotta keep going and that's faith.
And that's faith. So in a
'Cause
way, the one with have you ever watched that one with Kevin Costner, The Field of Dreams?
I have seen it.
And he said, they saw who the angel, I think, right, said to him, if you build it, they will come.
Right.
So kind of like even Noah, right? He had to build it and then the rain came. Like you have to obey. So we act on our faith too.
That's true.
So you say,
You get caught
no,
up in what you say to people, and then sometimes you might forget about the actual thing that you're doing.
yes,
Get caught up in that. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, it was always that thing. That's that's why people came in the first place, because of that thing. Not because of what
mm,
you said.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You mean like if you're building something,
You think Jesus's ministry would have gone far if he didn't like heal paralytics or raise people from the
the
dead?
signs and wonders, yeah. And I think he wants to do that today.
Well, it's just to say that like, and
He
it's I
can
really
do
hate to
that
say
today.
this, but like if you can't do stuff like that, you probably ain't it, Jack. I can't do it, and I don't claim to be a fucking prophet. So what does it matter? But like if you're gonna be claiming to do stuff like that, you better have the stuff to back it up, right?
Right. For Jesus, you mean, right?
Right. Because at the end of the day, if you are worried about any selfish intentions in that, you're wrong.
Right. In believing for something.
Right.
You're just, yes.
And
Uh,
knowing. Because believing and knowing are in some ways synonymous.
yes,
So like
yes.
if you believe something, but if you really believe something, then you know that it's true.
And you know it'll happen because, well,
Because when you say you believe in something, it's still introducing a little doubt. Well, it's
and
like
the way
you,
we use the word, right?
pardon?
The way we use the word nowadays, at least.
Right. But like that's as far as saying like I believe something is this way and I know something that is this way.
Exactly. Like
I
it's
it's
done, or I believe it will happen, but
I know this is this way is like I know you've probably seen it with your eyes and you've thought about it. But like I believe it's this way is maybe one of two things, right? You saw it a while ago and you don't really remember 100%, which is
we
fine.
use the
Or
word like that. Right, right, right.
or you just understand the concept thereof.
Yes, and I do use believe in that other way, like you said. Like I believe it said that, but in like I'm 95% sure that I'm remembering it correctly. But that's a little different than believing in what
But like if somebody came
maybe
up
that.
to me and was like questioning me on something, it's like your first gut reaction of like, well, I think it is, or like, no, I know it is this,
Right, and so right, exactly. I mean, it depends what it is, right? If you've seen it and you know it, right? That's the difference.
but you know God and you
And
know
we know God exactly. And we know what he has done and we know what he can do and we know what he will do.
what he won't do.
Yes. And
I
Lord, this I think it's a peace. Peace be
no
with you.
peace.
No, no, don't say that. Peace
No.
be with
N
you.
or
Oh
A
no, peace.
N
Sorry.
oh oh
I'm so sorry. KNOW peace.
the knowledge of peace, let that be peaceful.